Hi guys, so we have here our lesson 3 in probability and statistics. We have discrete probability distribution. So for our objectives, we have at the end of the lesson, the student should be able to first correctly illustrate a probability distribution of discrete random variable and accurately construct a probability distribution of discrete random variable. Okay, let us define first discrete probability distribution. So, discrete probability distribution is usually represented through table or bar graph, and it consists of the values a random variable can assume and the corresponding probabilities of the values. So, an example of that we have here. Kani, we have the graph or the table, we have x and probability of the random variable x, or we have p of x. So for our x values, we have 0, 1, and 2. For the probability or p of x, we have 1/4, 1/2, and 1/4. So usually, ang ani ang dagway sa discrete probability distribution. Again, it consists of the values of a random variable. So kani, we have x, 0, 1, and 2, and the corresponding probabilities of the values. So probability of 0, we have 1/4, probability of 1, we have 1/2, and probability of 2, we have 1/4. So, ingana ang discrete probability distribution. Okay, we have here the properties of discrete probability distribution. First, the probability of each value of random variable must be between or equal to 0 or 1. That is, p of x that is greater than or equal to 0 and less than or equal to 1. So, for the probability, probability of the random variable in every values or in every value of our random variable, dapat ang corresponding niya nga probability is between 0 and 1. 0 will be the lowest and 1 will be the highest. Okay? Pwede in between. Pwede 1/2, 0.75, and so on. Basta kay between lang sa 0 and 1. Okay? Next, for the second property, we have the sum of the probabilities of all values of the random variable must be equal to 1, or in percentage, this is 100% probability. No? So, it's either the sum of the probabilities, kung i-add daw nimo tanan ang probabilities kada value sa random variable x, dapat ang sum niya is equal to 1. So, that is the summation of p of x. Again, probability of x must be equal to 1. 1 lang yun. Dili pwede ang 0.99, 0.98, or 0 or 1.02 or 1.01. Dapat eksakto gyud siya 1. Okay? So we have here example. Determine whether each of the following represents probability distribution. Again, in determining whether kanang the given is a probability distribution, kailangan nang nato i-consider ang duha ka properties. Again, the first property is that the probability of each values of random variable should be between 0 and 1, or greater than or equal to 0 but less than or equal to 1. Okay, so the first example we have here, the table z and p of z. For our z, we have 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. For the corresponding probability, for 0 we have 1/6, for 2 we have 1/6, for 4 we have 1/3, for 6 we have 1/6, and for 8 we have 1/6. Now, to determine again, we have to consider the two properties. Ang first property is that the probability of each values of random variable x must be between 0 and 1. So, kung tanaw na to sa p of z, that is the probability, we have 1/6, 1/6, 1/3, 1/6, and 1/6. So, walay 0 or less than 0, walay 1 or greater than 1. So, therefore, this is for the first Tawag ni first property, this is a probability distribution. But again, in determining dapat duha ka condition no ang ma-met. So ang ikaduha, we have dapat ang summation sa probability is equal to 1 always. So we have 1/6 plus 1/6 plus 1/3 plus 1/6 plus 1/6. Kini 1/6 parehas lang sila no, o kanang numerators we have 1/6 plus 1/6 that is 2 over 6 plus 1/6 that is 3 over 6 plus 1/6 that is 4 over 6. Kani para ma 6 it multiply na to og 2 ang numerator og denominator. So 1, 2, 3, 4 kini plus duha we have 6. So 6 over 6 that is equal to 1. So therefore this is a probability distribution. Okay? Next. Okay, for our example number 2, we have x and p of x. The values of our x, we have 1, 5, 8, 7, and 9. Okay, for the corresponding probability of x values, we have 1/3 for 1, 1/3 for 5, 1/3 for 8, we have 1/3 for 7, and 1/3 for 9. So, walay 0, walay 1, walay greater than 1 or less than 0. So, therefore, fit siya sa first condition, which is dapat ang probability is between 0 and 1. No? And then, for the second property, we have dapat ang iyahang summation sa probability must be equal to 1. So, we have here 1/3. Same lang man sila tanan o denominator. So, pwede na nato i-add ta ng numerator. So, 1/3 plus 1/3 that is 2/3 plus 1/3 that is 3/3 plus 1/3 that is 4/3. And for 1/3 plus 1/3 we have 5/3 or 5 over 3. So, since 5 over 3 is lapas na siya sa 1, therefore, this is not a probability distribution. Okay? Next, for number 3, we have y and p of y. No? We have random variable y with the values of 1, 3, 5, and 7. And then the corresponding probability, we have 0.35 for 1, 0.25 for 3, 0.22 for 5, and 0.18 for 7. Okay, so kung tanaw na itong yung probability, we have 0.35, 0.25, 0.22, and 0.18. So, ang probability for each random variable is in between siya kay 0 and 1. No? Walay less than 0, which is negative number, and then wala po greater kay 1. So, therefore, sa first condition, probability distribution siya. But, again, napatay kaduhang condition, which is dapat equal to 1 ang sum sa ihang probability. So, kung i-add na to, we have 0.35 plus 0.25, that is 0.60. 0.60 plus 0.22, that is 0.82. Plus 0.18, we have 100. No? So, we have, 1. We have 1. So, since 1 man ang ilahang sum, therefore, this is a probability distribution. Okay, for number 3, we have probability na siya. We have P of 1 that is equals to 0.08. P of 2, we have 0.12. And P of 3, probability of 3, we have 1.03. So, sa first condition pa lang, we have 1.03. Nag-violate na siya, no? So, dili siya fit sa ato ang condition. Dito pa lang daan, sa first condition pa lang, dili na siya fit. Therefore, this is not a probability distribution. Okay? For our last example, we have P of 1 that is equal to 0 and P of 2 that is equal to 1. Okay, so kani siya dili siya in between 0 and 1, but equal to 0 and equal to 1 man siya, no? So, therefore, sa first condition, fit siya. But for the second condition, we have 0 plus 1, that is also 1. So, fit man siya sa duha ka criteria. Therefore, this is a probability distribution. Okay, we have here more examples. We have construct a probability distribution and draw histogram for each of the following. For number 1, we have suppose 3 coins are tossed. Let y be the random variable corresponding to the number of tails that occur. For number 2, we have suppose 3 cell phones are tested at random. Let D represent the defective cell phone and N represent the non-defective cell phone. Let X be the random variable for the number of defective cell phones. Lastly, we have 2 balls are drawn in succession without replacement from an urn containing 5 red balls and 6 blue balls. Let Z be the random variable representing the number of blue balls. So, imuan na to sila tanan og probability distribution.
So, for our first example, we have suppose 3 coins are tossed. Let y be the random variable representing the number of tails that occur. So, 3 coins now are tossed. So, again, in constructing a probability distribution, ang una na to buhaton is to find for the values of random variable and their corresponding probability. To find for the value of our random variable, again, we have 3 coins are tossed. Pwede ta mo gamit og 3 diagram. So, for example, mo ni siya nga tong coin. Ang first toss ani, ang possible outcome, pwede ta mag head and tail. Sa head, pwede ta mag head and tail. Dire pod, pwede head and tail. Sa pikas, we have head and tail, then head and tail, then head and tail, and head and tail. Pero kung kabalo na mo sa pattern ani, pwede na dili na ninyo ingani gamitan og 3 diagram. Pwede na mo diretso sa tali sa katong HHH kadto. So kung diretso ta, we have HHH, HHT, HTH, HTT, THH, THT, TTH, and TTT. Okay, again, our random variable y represents the number of tails that occur. So, sa first possible outcome, we have HHH, 0 ang T, or our tail. Sa second possible outcome, we have 1. Third, we have 1. Here, we have 2, 1, and then 2. Then we have 2, and then we have 3. So, the values of our random variable y, we have y that is equals to, we have 0, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so for our probability distribution table atong gamiton, we have y and p of y. Okay, values of our y, which is the random variable, we have 0, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, for the probability of 0, no, 0, kapila ni gawas ang 0 dire? Because these are all the possible outcomes. So, kaisa. And then, pila ni sila kabuok? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, for the probability, again, 0 is kaisa lang. So, we have 1. Out of the total possible outcome, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, we have 1 over 8. Okay, this is 1 over 8. Okay, next for 1, the probability of 1. Kapila ni gawas diri ang 1? We have 1, 2, 3. So, katulo. So, we have 3 out of 8. For 2, we have 2. Kini, we have 1, 2, and 3. So, katulo po siya. So, we have 3 out of 8. Okay, next, we have 3. Kapila, kaisa lang. So, therefore, we have 1 out of 8. Now, kung i-check na to kung tama itong probability distribution, okay, we have two properties for the probability distribution. First, the probability for each values of random variable must be equal or between 0 and 1. So, 1 over 8 is between 0 and 1. 3 over 8 is between 0 and 1. So, therefore, pasok siya sa first. So, tama siya sa first. Ang second property we have, dapat ang sum, ani, kung i-add nato ni dapat equal to 1. So, since same lang man sila o denominator, we have 8, 8, and 8. I-add lang nato ang numerator. So, we have 1 plus 3 is 4. Plus 3, 7. Plus 1 is 8. So, we have 8 over 8 or this is equal to 1. So, therefore, tama niya nga to ang probability distribution. Okay, next, we have to draw a histogram. Okay, for histogram, dali lang, we have y that is 0, 1, 2, 3. So, we have 0. Then, we have 1, 2, and 3. For the values of our p of x, this is y, ha? And p of y din, no? We have 1 over 8, and 3 over 8. So, ang 1 nato, or ang 0 nato, we have 1 over 8. So, kani. Then, for 1 nato, we have 3 over 8. Kana. And then, we have 2, which is 3 over 8. Kani. And then, for our 3, we have 1 over 8. So, kana. Okay, shade lang nato. Muna ni ang iyahang histogram. Okay, muna ang histogram sa ato ang example number 1. So, again, we have y, values of y, 0, 1, 2, 3. For the corresponding probability of y, we have 0 is 1 over 8, 1 is 3 over 8, 2 is 3 over 8, and 3 is 1 over 8. And then we have histogram. Okay, the values of our random variable, kana atong horizontal. So we have 0, 1, 2, and 3. And then the values of our probability or the probabilities, we have 1 over 8 and 3 over 8. So 0 is 1 over 8, 1 is 3 over 8, 2 is 3 over 8, and 3 is 1 over 8. So, ingana siya og dagway. Okay, for our number 2 example, we have, suppose 3 cell phones are tested at random. Let D represents the defective cell phone and N represent the non-defective cell phone. And let X be the random variable for the number of defective cell phones. So, again, we have to construct a probability distribution and draw histogram. Okay, so again, we have to find first the value of or the values of our random variable and its corresponding probabilities. So, unahon na to og pangita using tree diagram. Okay, suppose this is the cell phone. Again, 3 cell phones, no? 3 cell phones are tested at random. So, tulo. So, ang first cell phone, pwede defective and non-defective. Second cell phone, we have defective and non-defective. We have defective and non-defective. Defective and non-defective. We have defective and non-defective. And defective and non-defective. And lastly, we have defective and non-defective. Or we have D, 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 N, D, N, D, D, N, 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 D, D, N, D, N, 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 D, N. Okay, so again, our random variable x represents the number of defective. So first sample, we have 3 defectives. Second, we have 2, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, and 0. So for our random variable x, the values we have 0, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so for our probability distribution, we have x and p of x. Okay, the value of our x, we have 0, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, the probability of our 0, again, kaisa lang ni gawas ang 0, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have 1 over 8. Again, kapila ni gawas, the number of times na ang 0 nag-occur over the overall number of kanang outcomes. So we have 1, 2, 3. So we have 3 over 8. For 2, we have 1, 2, 3. So 3 over 8. Then we have 3, we have 1 over 8. So mura na siya pareha kaganina nga example, no? But lahi lang siya nga problem. Pero same lang sila og output. Okay? So again, property, we have dapat ang corresponding probabilities must be equal or between 0 and 1. So 1 over 8 is between 0 and 1. 3 over 8 is between 0 and 1. So therefore, pasok ta sa first property. For the second property, we have sum must be equal to 1. So since 8 man ang iyang denominator, ang numerator lang atong i-add. So we have 1 plus 3 plus 3 plus 1, that is 8. 8 over 8 is equal to 1. So therefore, this is a correct probability distribution table. And for the histogram, again, ang atoang horizontal line will be our the values of our random variable x, and then ang atong vertical line will be the probabilities, no? So we have p of x. Okay, so we have 0, 1, 2, and 3, and then we have 1 over 8 and 3 over 8. For 0, we have 1 over 8. For 1, we have 3 over 8. For 2, we have 3 over 8. And for 3, we have 1 over 8. So, shade lang. Kamo na'y bahala kung sa'yo dagway sa inyong shade, no? Basta i-shade lang na siya diha. Okay, so mo ni ang histogram and the probability distribution for our second example. So, same lang sila tong first example. But, not all the time ingani ang dagway, ha. Dili ingani permi ang values atong random variable x, and dili pud ingani permi ang probability. Natungnan lang gyud nga mo na nang gawas. Okay? Okay, for our last example, we have 2 balls are drawn in succession without replacement from an urn containing 5 red balls and 6 blue balls. Let z be the random variable representing the number of blue balls. So again, duha lang daw ka balls ang gibunot, no? Out of 5 red balls and 6 blue balls. So illustrate nato, we have circle that represents the balls. So, ang first ball can be red and blue. Second ball, pwede siya red and blue. Same with dere, we have red and blue. Duha lang man ka bola, so therefore, duha lang ta kasanga. Okay, so possible outcome, we have R, B, R, and B. Again, ang atoang random variable z represents the number of blue balls. So first possible outcome, we have 0 blue ball. For second, we have 1. Third, we have 1. And lastly, we have 2. So the values of our random variable z, we have 0, 1, and 2. Okay, for our probability distribution, we have z and P of Z. Again, Z, values of our random variable Z, we have 0, 1, and 2. So we have 0, 1, and 2. For our P of Z, that is the corresponding probabilities of our random variable C. So sa 0, we have kaisa lang out of 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 ang total number of outcomes. So we have 1 over 4. For 1, we have 1, 2. That is 2 over 4. Or we have 1 half. For 2, we have 1. So we have 1 fourth. So again, kung i-check na to, the first property dapat between 0, kung dili equal, dapat between 0 and 1. So 1 fourth is between 0 and 1. 2 fourth or 1 half is between 0 and 1. So therefore, pasok ta sa first property. For the second property, kung i-add na to ni sila, dapat equal to 1. So we have 1 fourth plus 2 fourth or 1 half plus 1 fourth. That is equal to 1. So therefore, this is a probability distribution table for our problem. Now, for our histogram, again, sa atong horizontal line, we have the values of our random variable Z. For the vertical line, we'll have the corresponding probability, no? So, values of our Z, we have 0, 1, and 2. For our P of Z, we have 1 fourth and 2 fourth or 1 half. Okay, our 0, we have 1 fourth. So, dere. Then, for our 1, we have 2 fourth or 1 half. Kana. And then, for our 2, we have also 1 fourth. So, kana. Okay. Ato lang siyang i-shade. Okay. Muna ni ang iyahang histogram. Okay. So, muna histogram sa ato ang problem.
Okay, so that's it. Thank you and God bless.